In a world where carbs are your enemy, you need one man to help you fight your battles. That man is Jimmy.
Combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
Been looking for a quality brand of CBD oil and didn't know where to turn? Let me introduce you to Botan CBD. Go to botancbd.com, that's BOTAN CBD.com, and you'll see a full line of CBD oil products. The benefits of CBD oil are plentiful, including pain relief, anti-inflammation, mental clarity and focus, stress and anxiety reliever, and the list goes on. I've been using Botan CBD oil on my sciatica pain and it makes it disappear. You can rub it on the body or take it orally, and you can trust that Botan CBD is the highest quality CBD oil on the market. They are a pharmaceutical grade organic CBD, small batch and handcrafted for you. Head on over to botancbd.com and use the code Jimmy at checkout for 15% off your first order. Live life well. Botan CBD.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live, and we're here with another episode of Jimmy Rants. I'm simulcasting today both on Instagram Live and on Facebook Live. So we're here for you guys, bringing you another episode of my show called Jimmy Rants. So if you're brand new to Jimmy Rants, pop on over to JimmyRants.com. You'll see how the show begins. We start off over on Instagram Live, Facebook Live. Sometimes I throw it on YouTube Live. I try to bounce it around. I got followers everywhere that don't necessarily, like some of my Facebookers here, you don't do Instagram. Some of you Instagrammers, you don't do YouTube. So I try to bounce it around to get all of you guys. So you can engage live in the content. You got to follow me at Living Low Carb Man everywhere on the internet. It's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you're there, you actually can engage live in the content like all of you guys are doing here in real time. If you missed the live, you can actually watch it on replay over on YouTube. So if you're not already following me on YouTube, all of my past episodes are listed there. Oops, sorry, Instagram, I turned my camera. Now you're not looking at me. So go follow me there. You can type in a keyword search, Jimmy Rants. You will find the show. Finally, the best of the best moments of this year's show in podcast form is over on Apple Podcasts as well as Stitcher. Several people are like, I would listen to Jimmy Rants if it was a podcast. Well, guess what? It is a podcast, so you can go check it out over there. All of these links, you guys, are at JimmyRants.com. Today's Jimmy Rants is all about some pretty disturbing news coming out of Arkansas today. I don't know if you've heard about what has happened in Arkansas, but according to some news stories, and a big hat tip to Keto Reality, Olga, she's the one that brought this to my attention. So thank you, Olga, here on Instagram for bringing this to my attention. She said, have you heard about what they're doing in Arkansas? And she sent me this link. And I was like, oh my goodness, let me make sure it's not fake. And I looked it up and I corroborated the story. I've actually got about 4 or 5 different news stories here all about what's going on in Arkansas. They, you guys, have decided in Arkansas that they got enough of us keto people. They don't want us getting access to some food that we find desirable for a low-carb, high-fat, ketogenic diet. And that food is cauliflower rice. So we know several years ago, a lot of us were starting to go on keto, and we were looking for ways to replace some of the old carby foods with more healthy ones. And so one of the trends was getting a cheese grater and taking some cauliflower and then ricing it. You can do it yourself. It's pretty messy if you do it that way. Christine and I have done it quite a bit over the years, and it's very messy to do that. So then companies said, well, we'll take the convenient, or make it convenient for you. We'll go ahead and rice it and then put it in like the frozen section. And so we're seeing this pop up in grocery stores. I've seen it in Sam's Club and Costco and all over the place. And in the state of Arkansas, those people there were loving their cauliflower rice. But there's only one problem. Arkansas is the state where over 40% of the rice that's grown in America is right there in Arkansas. And so the rice industry makes up about 20,000 jobs there in the state of Arkansas. And their income from the sale of rice, traditional rice, is $1.3 billion that's added to their state economy. So what I want to talk about here today is they have now decided in the state of Arkansas, for the reasons I just stated, to ban the sale of cauliflower rice. And they're going to give a lot of reasons why they've done this. But guys, it's yet another assault against keto and real food and people wanting to make the choices that's better for their health. All right, so let me read some of these articles. Arkansas's reason behind banning the oft-maligned rice substitute has to do with its economy. All the health benefits of eating cauliflower rice versus regular rice are what attract people to this grain substitute. But the state legislature says the damage it's doing to their economy is far worse than any health benefit. So, whoa. If you live in Arkansas, I definitely want to hear from you. So here on Facebook Live, here on Instagram Live, if you live in Arkansas, which it's about quarter till 8 in Arkansas right now in Central Time. If you live in Arkansas, I definitely want to hear your input on this. So, you just heard them say that the state legislature would much rather keep their economy strong than to care about whatever health benefits you get from restricting things like traditional rice out of your diet and taking cauliflower rice instead. You heard them. You heard them very clearly. According to the definition of what rice is, rice can only mean, quote, the whole, broken, or ground kernels from various grain species or from one of the 4 grass species, such as wild rice and other things. If something is outside of those specifications and they label it rice, a fine could now be levied by the state. So here's what's happened, you guys. They've now defined what rice means in the state of Arkansas. And so if a company does not have grains as their rice, they can no longer call, like cauliflower that's been grated with a cheese grater, they can't call it rice anymore. And Christine and I were talking about this last night. What would stop them from calling it riced cauliflower instead of cauliflower rice? Because riced cauliflower is not calling it rice. You just say that you're ricing it. I don't know if it would be on that. It would probably go in a lawsuit if that happened. So if you're just joining us, yes, the state of Arkansas has about lost its freaking mind because they now have passed a law and signed it into through the legislation there in the state house that cauliflower rice must be banned in their state. And I'm calling it yet another assault on keto, another assault on real food. We've given the context that about 40% of the rice grown in America is right there in Arkansas. And so that's why they're having a tizzy about this. They go on in this story, this law only affects people who want to deceive the public about how their food originated, according to one of the representatives in the state house there in Arkansas. If you're not trying to deceive the public, then this will not affect you or any of the outlets who sell these products. Excuse me, Representative David Hillman, you don't know what you're talking about. Nobody that buys cauliflower rice thinks for a moment that it's real rice. Seriously. Those of us that choose to buy cauliflower rice buy it with a purpose in mind. We know exactly why we're buying it. It is real whole food based with cauliflower. And all it is reducing the carbohydrate load that we've been consuming with traditional rice by about 95 to 99%. You heard me right. When you choose to eat cauliflower rice, which most people can't tell the difference when they cook it the right way and they use it in dishes, you can't tell the difference between traditional rice and cauliflower rice. And yet you reduce the amount of carbohydrate load on your body about 95 to 99%. Do they not want people to get healthy? Do they not want people to have options? To me, this is an all-out assault on keto. It's an all-out assault on freedom to buy the food you want to buy. If I lived in Arkansas right now, I would be up in arms. And don't you know, those people that live in like West Memphis, Arkansas, all they're going to do is drive across the Mississippi River, the bridge between West Memphis and Memphis, Tennessee. They're going to go to a store in Memphis and they're going to load up on cauliflower rice and bring it right back over the border again. I used to live in that area, and it's silly. It's so silly what they've done. Most think this law constitutes a violation of the First Amendment. Yeah, among other things. It seems to have a subtle corporate agenda behind it. One person called, or from the director of the Good Food Institute, Jessica Almy, she said, this is really bad public policy. They are a Washington, D.C. nonprofit that supports food from the plant-based meat. So I've talked about those. And we've talked about this before. Should they call all of these plant-based meats meat? I don't think so. So should they call cauliflower rice rice? Okay, there is an argument there. And to be consistent, that's where I think these companies should get really creative. Call it riced cauliflower instead of cauliflower rice. I think we're looking at kind of parsing the language just a little bit, but they could make it as such so that people know exactly what they're getting. And here's the thing, people aren't stupid. You people that buy riced cauliflower, and that's a lot of us, you're not stupid. You know exactly what you're buying. You know exactly why you're buying it. And you're making a healthier choice for yourself and your family. That's why you buy it. They compared it the same with almond milk. People clearly understand that it comes from almonds because it's called almond milk, not milk. And the same thing with this cauliflower rice. It's not rice, it's cauliflower rice. And of course, it always gets me when I go to the store and I see American cheese. It's not cheese, but it's American cheese, which then, because of some previous lawsuits on that, they now have to say a cheese product. So it says American cheese on like Kraft singles, but then in like little sidebar, it says a cheese product, which means not real cheese. All right, so let's see what other things are in these other stories. So if you're just joining us, yes, there is this move across the country to kind of go after things that are biting into the traditional food industry. And one of those things in the past couple of years, because of the rise of real food diets like paleo and keto, is cauliflower rice. And so in the state of Arkansas, you're reading that right on the pinned comment, you're reading it right. They have passed a law banning the sale of cauliflower rice. And I consider this an all-out assault on real whole food-based diets like keto. So Governor Asa Hutchinson signed the bill into law. They are now the sixth state to codify a measure on meat. So they're the ones that passed the law on not calling vegetable burgers meat. So that's what they've done. So they've already set the precedence, and now they are the only one to have a specific provision about cauliflower rice. So the only one in all of the United States. But guys, don't think this is the last state that's going to try to pull this. And again, if you're just joining us, the reason they're doing it in Arkansas is 40% of all of the rice that is grown and fed to Americans is grown right there in Arkansas. So this is a major part of their economy. And I mentioned earlier that one of the biggest reasons they're doing this is the economics of it for their state, not about the health of the people in their state. And if I lived in Arkansas, I would be literally up in arms about this. There's the group Good Food Institute that I talked about earlier. It is clear that this legislative push isn't actually about protecting consumers. It's all about protecting incumbent companies from future competition. And see, I think this is a travesty. If the rice producers in the state of Arkansas are upset because people are choosing to buy an alternative product to theirs, wouldn't it stand to reason that the way they would stay viable is to shift their business model? We've seen Coca-Cola do this. They used to make a ton of money off of selling sugary swill. And what they did was they started buying companies that sold like bottled and flavored waters. And they started making diet versions of their sugary swill. So what would stop rice companies from having a big old field of cauliflower grown, and they start making their own rice cauliflower under their names? Can you imagine Uncle Ben's rice cauliflower? It could happen. All right, so let's see if there's anything else in here. Oh, so manufacturers, now that this has become law, manufacturers that are caught selling cauliflower rice in Arkansas will be subjected to a $1,000 fine for every one of the products that are mislabeled as cauliflower rice. So that now all these companies that have created cauliflower rice, they now have to pull in Arkansas all of that stock at their own expense. And then they have to repackage it in some way. I still think they could say riced cauliflower and they'd have the same ability to market it without having the risk of the $1,000 penalty. Although I'm sure there would be a tizzy brought up about this, even with riced cauliflower, because the rice people would say, see, they're still putting rice, even though they would call it riced cauliflower. But $1,000. So if they have inventory of thousands upon thousands of bags out there in grocery stores, that could add up really big, really fast. Let's see if there's any other things here. All right, yeah, so the USA Rice chimed in with why they're moving on this, and they were lobbying hard in the state of Arkansas, the state legislature and the governor there, to make this change. They say calling it cauliflower rice is, quote, a bit malicious and maybe nefarious. Yeah. They also have asked the FDA to do something about this malicious and nefarious threat posed to the public by the unwitting consumption of cauliflower that's been riced. Come on. Seriously. All right. Let's see. Oh, so where was that? All right, so there's one more article I had printed out, and I know there was something else I thought that was in here. Oh, here's the other thing. So there's other things that they use that are plant-based alternatives to rice that don't fit the definition of rice. Chickpeas, for example, has been rice, but it doesn't fall under this purveyorship of cauliflower rice. Why are they only targeting cauliflower rice? And what about the people who can't eat grains and yet they still want a rice product? Isn't cauliflower rice the perfect solution to somebody that has celiac disease, for example, or some other sensitivity to grains? This, to me, has lawsuit written all over it, and I don't think they realize the tizzy that they have caused with this. So, guys, the bottom line in this Jimmy Rants that I definitely wanted to underscore here is Arkansas is the first, but I don't think the last to continue to go after real whole foods. Nobody in their right mind thinks that cauliflower rice is a bad thing in any way, shape, or form. They don't. Rice cauliflower is a great alternative. And, you know, a lot of people, they eat rice. They don't eat the rice for the flavor. Rice doesn't hardly have any flavor at all. What it is it soaks up the broth and soaks up the juices from the foods that you're consuming. You can add butter and all kinds of things to it. It's more just to fill the plate. And so if we're taking away one of those real food choices, what will they do next? And I come on here on this Jimmy Rants quite a bit, reminding you of the insanity that's going on in our food supply right now. And if this kind of thing can happen in Arkansas, what's to stop it from happening in Tennessee? What's to stop it from happening here in South Carolina? What's to stop it from happening in California or wherever in America there's an assault against real food? And I think it stemmed from people that just don't like keto. We've seen it again and again recently in articles and in various moves that are taking place. I want your eyes wide open, you guys. That's why I'm bringing you this kind of cutting edge info all the time here on Jimmy Rants. If we don't stand up against this sooner than later, then don't be surprised when they come to your state and your legislature in your state says, yeah, you know, that rice cauliflower, yeah, I don't think we should be allowing them to call it rice, cauliflower rice. So let's ban it too. There's precedents in Arkansas. Don't be surprised if California is next, and New York and other states where you got some happy state legislators that are being heavily influenced by these rice manufacturers that pay them lots of money when it comes to campaign time. So hopefully it doesn't, but I want you to be aware sooner than later. All right, I want to see what you guys have to say. And again, we are live both on Instagram and on Facebook. So hold tight, Facebook Live. I'll be back to you guys here in just a minute, but let me get to my Instagrammers first. Hello, welcome in. This program is habit forming. I love starting my day listening. Oh, awesome. Thank you for that CC guide. All right. Arkansas's largest crop is rice. That's right, Beth. 7-year-olds are running the joint. If they can't make money, we can't decide where to send ours. Makes sense. Next up, they'll ban cheese graters and food processors so they can make their own. Yeah. Wouldn't be surprised, Beth. Wouldn't be surprised. Money is greater than health, says Katrina. Sounds legit. Yeah. That's where we are. Jane says, seriously? Yes, seriously. Same way you can rice a potato. A ricer is a kitchen gadget. I'm going to pull this off because I'm having trouble seeing all the comments without looking at it. So my eyes can't roll back far enough, says Liz. They're worried about semantics because nobody will know cauliflower is not actually rice, as most know it. Good Lord. That's what Beth said. Oy vey, says D. Beige. Yeah. FYI, pulsing raw cauliflower in the food processor is super easy way to rice it. Yes, Sophia, a lot of people do make their own, but there's a lot of people that like the convenience of it all, so I get it. It's tastier than bagged, though maybe not as easy. Yeah. Sophia, I love cauliflower rice. It just doesn't love me back. Yeah, not everybody has a good reaction to it, but certainly a better reaction than the grains from traditional rice. What do they do with soy milk? Will they ban them based on the same principle? So, Alberto, that's a great question. And that was brought up in a couple of these articles. Well, nobody is thinking that like almond milk is real milk. They're still able to call it almond milk. And my example of American cheese, it's not real cheese, but they still call it American cheese. So what's the matter with calling cauliflower that you've riced with a cheese grater, calling it cauliflower rice? It doesn't make sense. Athena says, April Fools. No, this is not a joke. This is a real story. I promise you. I did corroborate it with about 4 or 5 different stories all about it. Gangs in Arkansas will now start carrying cauliflower rice, says Mike. I wonder if there will be an underground cauliflower rice market. That will be interesting to watch. I still think they could cross over the border into Tennessee and the other neighboring states. Arkansas is not that big. It would not take that long to drive to another state, load up on it at Costco, and then bring it right back home with you. What are they going to raid your house and say, oh, you have cauliflower rice, we must raid your house? Kimberly, I do not understand how they can banish food. Why are they not banishing candy bars? Kimberly, that makes too much sense, my dear. You know why. There's too much money from the sugar lobby involved in that kind of thing. Unfortunately, there's not quite the level of marketing muscle, so to speak, with real whole foods like cauliflower. How about granulated cauliflower, says Sophia. Some people might think that means you put sugar. They put sugar in it if you say granulated, because that's the first thing I think of when I see the word granulated is sugar. So we don't want people thinking they're getting sugar cauliflower. Ironic, they worried about labeling semantics. It'll backfire when we win and they have to disclose the plastic in their rice, says Beth. Yeah. Sam says, I buy cauliflower and broccoli pearls at Smith's. Well, if you live in Arkansas, you can no longer buy cauliflower rice. They are, banning it. Keto Savage will now start offering cauliflower rice with every keto brick. So, Mike, so our friends Keto Savage and Crystal, Robert and Crystal, they live in Arkansas. I want to say they live in Little Rock. And so I'll be real interested to hear what they have to say about this. I lived there for 5 years. Agriculture is big business, very hard to beat them. Consumers are what will make the difference. I now live in Kansas. Do you think gluten-free is well received here? Yeah, exactly. It's never about protecting the human, says Downtown Vapors. Katrina says, we'll all send cauliflower rice to Keto Savage in exchange for keto bricks. Yeah, for sure. I just don't see how they can pass that law. Well, Bonnie, they did. And I see how 40% of all of America's rice, that's a lot of money. Almost $2 billion worth of their industry and their economy in that state. If you take away or even cut into that a little bit, can you imagine the ramifications financially on their state? So I get the why, but it's the practicality of it all. If you start removing products from a shelf because it runs counter to your state's public interest, how is that serving the people in that state? What would make someone that eats keto want to stay in Arkansas if they want to have the choice to go buy some darn cauliflower rice? Here's the other thing. What is going to stop people from going to buy big heads of cauliflower, getting a cheese grater, and grating it themselves? Because it's still rice cauliflower. It's still going to cut into the sale of traditional rice. Do they think all these people that are currently buying rice cauliflower are suddenly going to start buying rice again? No. They've made the decision to eat rice cauliflower because they know the negative impact on their health that eating rice has had. So it's a silly law if you stop and think about it logically. Common sense tells you the reason people are choosing cauliflower rice isn't because, oh, well, this is a more convenient way or a cheaper way to get my rice in. No, they're getting it because of the 95 to 99% less carb load on their bodies, so they're not spiking their blood sugar and insulin levels. That's why they're choosing cauliflower rice. So it's kind of silly, this law. It's really not going to change anything. Ashton says, big food being threatened by keto, they lose a lot of money when people buy real whole foods. Yes, they do. As usual, big pharma and big agra, all they want is our money, says Sam. I wish that weren't true, but I bet it's more true than ever before. How about calling it mock rice or mocked rice? Well, Bill, you still have rice in it. And I think that would be the big thing, the fact that they still use the word rice. even if you put the word mock. I mean, you would think if you put cauliflower rice, the qualifier of cauliflower would tell people this ain't real rice. So that didn't pass the muster. So I don't think mock rice would fly. I wonder, cauliflower. Yeah, I was trying to think of putting faux in there somewhere. Anyway, we'll brainstorm to help these companies that sell this stuff. Miracle of keto, so ridiculous anyone can make it by buying cauliflower and cutting it up. I prefer to do that anyway. Yeah. Go home, Arkansas, you're drunk, says Brittany. Yes, Stephanie, Fire Team Whiskey, it is real. This is not a fake story. This is not an April Fool's joke. I promise you, this cauliflower rice ban in Arkansas is very real. Stephanie says, I have a huge bag from Costco in my freezer right now. Yeah, we all love cauliflower rice. When I make Christine a dish, she loves cauliflower rice. And what I do is I bake it or put it in a pan, in a skillet. And I have bone broth in the bottom of the pan and grass-fed butter. And then I start throwing vegetables in there for her. And she likes chicken, and I mix it up like a little stir-fry type of deal. And it's so good. And she's like, I feel like I'm eating rice again. And I'm like, yeah, you don't realize how much of that was just soaking up the juices of what you were cooking. And you really didn't like rice. You just liked the medium of it soaking up the juices. And now cauliflower does the job just fine. Thank goodness many of these companies will still ship, says Keto Tiny and Vintage. I wonder, though, will they allow the shipment of cauliflower rice? Let's say somebody has like Amazon Prime Now, where they'll ship you like refrigerated goods within 2 hours of you ordering. And you go on there and you buy riced cauliflower. It'll be funny to watch, you guys, if there's a big run on riced cauliflower. Now that this is in Arkansas, now that this has passed, that's something to watch. It'll be interesting to see what they do about that. And if somehow, some way they try to enforce this law, even with like Prime Now or other shipment options. Thank goodness I'm carnivore, says Tammy. Yeah. Yellow-eyed, what in the world is happening? Yes, this is crazy, right? Sam says, I'm 77. When I was a child, margarine was illegal in Wisconsin. My dad drove across the border and brought it back from Illinois. See, this doesn't stop. If people really want cauliflower rice, they will drive over to Tennessee or one of the other neighboring states, and they'll get what they need. So it does seem silly. They will ban heads of cauliflower because of those evil low-carb keto people, says Tammy. Yeah. You would think people would know if it said cauliflower rice that folks already know it's cauliflower. Yeah, all of this just seems so silly when you stop and think about it. Nobody buying cauliflower rice actually thinks it's rice, right? Kimberly said, Michael, her husband, just had a point. The Wally World headquarters is in Arkansas. What will they do? Oh, you know Walmart sells a buttload of rice cauliflower. I wonder if they'll let them even manufacture it anymore, Kimberly. That is a great question. And they're also a major part of the Arkansas economy. Not, well, I was going to say not to the level of the rice industry, but maybe. Ooh, I didn't even think about the Walmart connection. This is going to be interesting, you guys. There could be some lawsuits coming out of this. All right, I'm going to go over to Facebook because I have been totally ignoring you guys, not on purpose, just it's hard to read all the comments and switch back and forth. So let me pop over here. Welcome in Facebook. Thanks for being here, you guys. Thanks for all you do. We love you in New York. Thank you, Nancy. I love you guys too. I'm trying to do more and more of these over here on Facebook Live. Eden says, I get real gassy when it comes to cauliflower rice. I wonder if you have a leaky gut or digestion issue. Christine, my wife, could definitely help you with that. April says, these people are just cray-cray. Yeah, I think they are. So now they're going to try and control what we eat. So nuts. Well, they've been trying that for years, April. But but now they're succeeding because they're able to get laws passed banning you from buying certain things. Nancy says, what? This is so ludicrous. Yeah, welcome to my world. This is unreal. I agree. Nancy said, this is a good April Fool's joke, Jimmy. No, it is not an April Fool's joke. I corroborated it with like 4 or 5 different news stories all about this. I promise you guys, I know it's April 1, but this is not a joke. This is indeed actually happening. Go look it up for yourself online. This is what they're doing in Arkansas. I guess we're all just a big threat to them, says April. Yeah. Riced is a process, says Nancy. Yeah, all we're talking about is taking a little cheese grater with some cauliflower and you can rice it up yourself. What is the difference between that and then someone going and buying it in a store other than the convenience? Sounds foolish, just like a lot of the government, says Michelle. Yeah. Christy says, this is so ridiculous. I agree. This crap just keeps getting worse and worse. Well, I'm going to continue to bring you these kind of stories because I think you need to know what's happening. And it's so funny because I'm kind of codifying it here on Jimmy Rants, kind of talking about this so often that when you put 2 and 2 and 2 together, it starts adding up. I think if you're just watching this casually, you're not noticing all that's going on with this. I see Christy put a link to one of the stories, so that's good. Dan the Bacon Man says, that's so odd. Yeah, it really is. Ivan says, ridiculous, for sure. Nancy says, so it really needs to come down to marketing and perhaps the wording. Why wouldn't they just require different labeling? So I think indirectly, Nancy, that's exactly what they're saying. Don't call it rice, which is why coming up with some kind of a similar but different name is crucial. So riced cauliflower seems to fit the bill, in my opinion. The land of the free indeed, says Keto Christina. Yeah. And see, Christina, she lives in Ireland. How preposterous would it be, Christina, if they tried to ban like Kerrygold butter in your country? That'd be crazy, right? Bootleg cauliflower, yes. So Walmart can't sell their cauliflower rice either in Arkansas. Yeah, see, Christy also caught on to that, Kimberly, your point from your husband. Does this mean the cauliflower rice markets are going to explode in places like Memphis? See, yeah, I said that, Brian. You know, see, you're already there, man. You're already there. Candy says, well, this explains it, why I couldn't find any cauliflower rice in the Batesville, Arkansas Walmart. I was there over spring break trying to shop for my daughter, shaking my head. Yeah. Green Giant has it frozen too, says April. Well, not anymore, not in Arkansas. And Julia, no, we're not kidding you. This is indeed real. Nancy said, what's next? Are they going to come after zucchini noodles? Do they sell zucchini noodles kind of commercially? I haven't seen that. I make my own zucchini noodles. This is just stupid. Don't they have important things to focus on? You would think, but no, apparently not. Why not call it shredded cauliflower or crumbled cauliflower? I like those, Barb. That's great ideas. They're definitely going to have to come up with some term that lets people know that they're just getting cauliflower, but not rice, because these state legislators don't think you're smart enough there in Arkansas to know that you're not really buying rice. Although nobody has any problem with almond milk, soy milk. You don't think it's milk. It's an alternative to milk because it's soy milk. It's almond milk. And the same with this. It's cauliflower rice, not just rice. It seems the food police are working overtime to squash people who are trying to be healthy. Nancy, that's spot on assessment, that's for sure. The meat tax is getting pushed hard as well. Keto carnivore folks will be considered crazy. Grow your own food, get chickens, raise ruminants for meat, says Jason. Yeah, I talked about a lot of these things yesterday on a rant. It's happening, you guys, and just being hyper aware of all this is half the battle. They should call it cauliflower kernels, says Lindy, or cauliflower grain alternative. A little bit wordy, but not bad. No, this is not an April Fool's joke. There's a lot of people coming on and they're like, this has got to be April Fool's joke. I promise you guys, this is real. I found these headlines and I was like, okay, people are going to think because I'm doing it today that this is a joke. But Arkansas legislature saves residents from accidentally eating rice made from cauliflower. That is a real headline, I promise you. And I've got like 4 or 5 of them all corroborating this information. Go look it up yourself. Do they think we're just stupid and that we don't know the difference? Apparently that's exactly what they think. All right. When I lived in Arkansas, says Jessica, we had to cross the border to Missouri in order to get alcohol. Perhaps now they need to add cauliflower rice to that same shopping list. Sorry, I've got to go get my alcohol and my cauliflower rice. That's funny. No, it's certainly not cheaper. Christy says cauliflower rice is not cheaper. No, it's not. But I wonder if they wanted to make that argument. You're right, though. Traditional rice is much, much cheaper than cauliflower rice. Candy says, I love my home state, but boy, am I disappointed and embarrassed about this. They are one of the fattest, unhealthiest states in the entire country. Are they going to do away with heads of cauliflower too? That's a great question. It stands to reason that they would, because what would stop people from going to buy heads of cauliflower? People that make cheese graters today are very happy because a lot of people are going to go buy cheese graters and they're going to make their own riced cauliflower. Somebody mentioned Natalie. How about calling them cauliflower bits? Although that might sound like kibbles and bits and bits and bits. Dawn says they could call it chopped cauliflower, like they have broccoli chopped. I've also made broccoli into rice form frozen, so I guess they're going to have to change it too. Yeah, it's pretty interesting what's going on, you guys. And again, if you came in late, the state of Arkansas became the very first state in all of the United States of America who has now banned, it sounds so funny even saying this out loud, but banned the sale of cauliflower rice because of the rice industry there in Arkansas. They're not happy about their sales being cut into by this, what they determine is not actually a real rice company. How dare they call it rice? And so they convinced and they lobbied hard to get the state legislature there in Arkansas to now ban cauliflower rice from being sold. They will be fined $1,000 for every bag that says cauliflower rice starting whenever this goes into effect. I would assume sooner than later. It's sad, you guys. This is an assault on real whole food. This is an assault on keto, and I don't think we should take this. All right, let's see if there's any other, maybe call them cauliflower crumble, says Nelly. It's not a ban on cauliflower rice. Well, Debbie, if it's not a ban on cauliflower rice, then what is it? Temporary ban until they change the label. Well, the problem is, why do they have to change their label? Nobody is confused about what cauliflower rice is. The reason you buy cauliflower rice is your body does not respond well to traditional rice. You have a blood sugar response, you have an insulin response, you have an inflammation response. And so if you're making a conscientious choice to eat riced cauliflower, you're not being fooled, as this headline is trying to make you believe. Residents from accidentally eating rice made from cauliflower, nobody is accidentally consuming cauliflower rice. Everybody that buys cauliflower rice is buying cauliflower rice because they simply cannot handle real grain-based rice. It's ridiculous. Oh, April says, yeah, they do sell zoodles, so zucchini noodles. Okay, good to know. Natalie says, I can't believe I live here. Well, I definitely want to hear from a lot more Arkansas people. I may call my bud Robert Sykes and Crystal Love a little bit later on to see what they think about this, because I'm sure they have some interesting thoughts on this since they live there. This is completely dumb, says Kara. Hey, Kara, I don't think for 1 minute people are getting confused. No, they're not. Like I said at the very beginning of this Jimmy Rants, they're going to throw up all these reasons why they're doing this that'll have nothing to do with what the real reasons are for why they're doing this. All right, let's see if there's any other comments that came in on Instagram. Thank you guys for being here with this episode of Jimmy Rants. That makes no sense because of the nut milks. Exactly. Why on earth would they ban it? Just arrived to the party, says Amy. Yeah, they're banning it because the rice industry in Arkansas is having their sales cut into pretty darn hard. And so cauliflower rice can no longer be sold under that name. So we're kind of helping them come up with new versions. There's been a lot of really good suggestions here today. You'll have to stay on this topic with Walmart, like you said. Yeah, Bonnie, I am going to stay on this. It would be very, very interesting to me to get a member of the legislature there in the State House of Arkansas to come on the Livin' La Vida Low Carb show to talk about this and how they put economics in their state over the health of the citizens in their state. Because I don't think you can separate those two. I get it. Arkansas is the home of a whole lot of jobs and a whole lot of money, and their economy is predicated on the sale of traditional rice. But what about market forces changing that? What about people rejecting carb-based foods? I'm trying to think of another example where they grow things that people aren't eating anymore. So wherever they sell corn, Iowa, where they sell corn, and people aren't buying corn at the level that they used to anymore because they're eschewing carbohydrates. So are we supposed to ban the sale of some corn alternative in Iowa because of that? It's getting to that point, you guys. This has become so incredibly silly that it sounds like a joke on April Fool's Day, but it's become very, very real, very, very fast. And we can't forget the heavy, heavy influence of these companies that stand to lose a whole lot of money with all of these alternatives to their crappy garbage. And that's why we need to stay on top of all this stuff. Rebranding will be the key to keeping it in Walmart. Grated cauliflower, says Keto Tiny. How about minced cauliflower, says Tracy. I like that one. Ashton says, what's next? Banning cauliflower mash because it has mashed in the label and people will think it's mashed potatoes. You laugh, Ashton? I would not be surprised if they come after mashed cauliflower next. Because, yeah, it's the same principle. Mashed cauliflower. Although mashed could be anything, at least rice, they define rice as rice, as the grain. So maybe not. My understanding of what happened is they banned calling cauliflower rice. It's not banning the sale. No, Joshua, I understand that. But what I'm saying with saying that they've banned cauliflower rice is what's to stop them from taking that same argument and say, well, you can't buy a cheese grater and you can't buy cauliflower and grate it yourself and rice it yourself. That's what I'm talking about. Shredded is the word to use on the label. Someone also mentioned kernels. The corn people will probably jump on that. Yeah. Jesse says, how about Collie Razzle? Collie Razzle. Is that like razzle dazzle? All right, guys. So the bottom line in this Jimmy Rants, they're coming after real whole foods that so many of us in the keto world are trying to consume, because the traditional foods like white rice and brown rice and all these rice products that are made from grains did not make us healthy, do not make us feel good. And so we need alternatives to those kinds of things that, quite frankly, just make us fatter and sicker than ever before. And so if we can choose something like cauliflower rice as an alternative to traditional rice, and it makes us healthier and it controls our blood sugar and insulin levels and inflammation levels and helps us lose weight and get healthy, why is that a bad thing? It's not. And so we need to be on alert and realize what's going on. And Arkansas, I believe, will be just the first of many states that are going to try this kind of thing. I will keep you abreast of what's going on, so keep watching Jimmy Rants, and I appreciate you watching here today. That's all the time we have for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. As always, you can engage live in the content here on Facebook Live here, Instagram Live there. We also go live on YouTube from time to time as well. So go follow me all over the internet. I'm at Living Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you're there, you can engage live in the content and enjoy it. But if you missed the live, you can watch it on replay over on YouTube. So go type in a keyword, Jimmy Rants. You will find the show. Finally, the best of the best moments of this year's show in podcast form is on the Apple podcast format, as well as Stitcher for all of my non-Apple people. See, I care about you people that have an Android, even though I would never own a phone, an Android phone. I tried the Samsung Galaxy S4 one time way back in the day, and I was so lost. Give me my iPhone back. So go check it out, you guys. All of these links, you guys, are at jimmyrants.com. So until next time, Instagram Live, we'll see you then.